Hello everyone, in this video I'll be ranking all of the Illithid abilities in Baldur's Gate 3 on a tier list. Now some people have told me that the best Illithid ability is getting jiggy with the Emperor since it gives you an achievement. But we won't be talking about Netflix and chilling with Squidward tentacles in this video. We're going to be focusing on the combat effectiveness of these abilities. And the first one we'll be focusing on is Favourable Beginnings. The first attack roll or ability check you make against any target gains a bonus equal to your proficiency bonus, so that can give you a +4 to an attack roll on your first attack or ability check that you make in combat. It's not too bad overall, but compared to a lot of these other ones, there's much more powerful abilities here. So I think the Favourable Beginnings is nice because it's a passive and it's just a flat out increase to everything you're going to do in combat. So that's B tier for me. But next we actually have one of the more powerful ones with Ability Drain. Once per turn, when you make an attack roll, the attack will reduce the target's corresponding ability by 1. This reduced score cannot be decreased lower than 1. Actually, a little fun fact with this, you can actually use Shocking Grasp on a wizard, drain intelligence all the way down to 1, and then you can actually take out any target that is immortal, like Withers, because there's the drain intelligence that we can use later on once the target gets their intelligence down to 1. This is just a side note, but cool thing if you want to end up destroying Withers. Don't recommend doing it because then you cannot respec or do any hirelings. But where Ability Drains really shines is there's a lot of items that actually benefit from this. So one of the most popular uses is the Boots of Stormy Clamor here, which can apply reverberation on the target when you inflict a condition. Ability drains a condition, this procs it. Any piece of gear that procs whenever you apply a condition on a target is going to apply, so that becomes pretty crazy really quickly. Another way this can be powerful is using the Diadem of Arcane Synergy. If you're a paladin, you can get your charisma modifier added to your damage for 2 turns anytime you do a weapon attack. So Ability Drain is great because of all the extra effects that it brings, and it's not too hard to get. You just have to take a couple of these here. So this is a very useful one on a variety of different playthroughs. So I actually think that this, due to it being able to trigger a lot of different abilities, can go to the S tier. Being able to stack reverberation easily with melee attacks and also being able to get your arcane synergy there, this is definitely an S tier choice. And while its abilities itself are not great, it's a cheap way to get a condition, and for that I think it's actually S tier. Next we got Force Tunnel, which is a really fun ability because when you use Force Tunnel, you can rush forwards and knock everything out of the way. The only problem with this is it's going to impact your team, so if you're like right over here and you're going to rush forwards, it's going to knock them down. So bonk. We're not in combat, so it doesn't actually apply that, but yeah, it's a pretty useful ability if you're a melee attacker, especially if you have the ability to use your Illithid abilities as a bonus action to get you that extra movement speed around. It's a pretty useful ability for really anybody. If you need to get out of a combat situation as a sorcerer, it can be good too. I guess it actually doesn't hate your teammates, but still, it can knock people off of ledges and meaning you're not going to get their loot. It's still nice though. It's a good getaway if you need to as a spellcaster or a melee attacker, so it's not the worst one in the world. I think that this can go somewhere around. I think Favourable Beginnings is actually more beneficial, so we'll put it somewhere in the C tier. Next we have Cull the Weak. Cull the Weak's pretty crazy. Basically what it does is whenever you do an attack, if you bring a creature down to fewer health points than your number of evolved Illithid powers, it dies and all nearby creatures take 1 to 4 psychic damage. So all 25 of these abilities make it so that if you hit a target and it has, let's say, 26 health, you do a bit of damage to it and it brings it down to 24, boom, it explodes in a huge amount of damage and can trigger more explosions of more enemies around you. I think of all these abilities as Cull the Weak points because each one of them is going to power Cull the Weak up. This is crazy. Another thing is if you got Arrow of Many Targets, you can actually go ahead with your attack and it's going to bounce to each one of them. And if you bring them down low enough health, it's just going to completely one-shot them. So Cull the Weak is actually, I would say, the best Illithid ability just because it can make some fights so much easier. Especially if there's multiple targets, you can just arrow many targets, goodbye, see you later on all of them. And it stacks very well with a lot of different play styles from different classes. So yeah, I'd have to say it's Cull the Weak is going at the very top of the S tier. Now I've actually seen a lot of people say that Ability Drain is actually like the worst. But as I mentioned, I think it's good because it can proc a bunch of different gear and make builds come alive. So next we got Concentrated Blast, which is, it's a decent one. So with Concentrated Blast, basically what happens is you have to be concentrating on a spell and you break your concentration to deal a 3d6 psychic damage to the target. And if they were concentrating, you heal yourself for a 3d6. This isn't too bad. The only thing is you have to break your concentration. But the best part about this is you can actually use a concentration like Wall of Fire and then break your concentration. If you have the bonus action ability here, it's going to deal extra damage, so that can be good, but I don't think that this is one of the more impactful ones. So yeah, it's an all right choice. One of the coolest features of this, however, is it doesn't have an attack roll. It always lands. So this can just be a guaranteed 3d6 of damage. So it's all right, I think. Not one of the best here. So I might just say it's somewhere B to C tier. I might just put in the B tier because, hey, if you can guarantee a hit, that's nice. Next, we got Mind Blast. Now, Mind Blast is crazy because it's psychic damage. Psychic damage being extremely powerful once you hit level or Act 2 because of the Resonance Stone, which gives the Steeped in Bliss. So every single target has vulnerability to psychic damage. So you're going to deal double damage with Mind Blast. Make this a bonus action ability and you can just completely destroy enemies. It'll also possibly stun targets. It doesn't need to do that. It would be fine if it was just damage, but possibly stunning a target means that they don't take a turn. And you can see the range of this is ridiculous. As I said, it could literally just be damage and that would be fine. We don't need that stun. But you can see there, the range on it's absolutely ridiculous. You can hit targets from so far away with this. Yeah, there's the reach of it. Incredible range on that, 14 meters. It's nuts. I actually think that Mind Blast is one of the best abilities here. It's a per long rest, but being able to do a 48, which can potentially be like an 88 essentially if you have the Resonance Stone, is very strong. And it's bigger than Cone of Cold, which is one of the nice level 5 spells you can get. So yeah, this ability is incredible. It's an S tier for sure. And next is the Psionic Overload. In my opinion, the biggest downside of Psionic Overload, you take damage with this. It applies an additional 1d4 psychic damage to your attacks. Now, when it says attacks, it means attack rolls. Magic Missile doesn't get this additional 1d4 of psychic damage because it doesn't have an attack roll. It automatically hits. You take that 1d4 damage. However, if you're, let's say, holding a concentration on haste, as one would, it can potentially break your concentration on haste. It can also apply extra damage riders to yourself. So yeah, it's a tough one to use. If you can use it, it's best on anyone that attacks multiple times, like a monk with their flurry of blows. That means that this can strike twice on a target. So it has its pros, it has its cons. I think it's more risky to use than some of the other abilities. So with that, I'd have to put this one somewhere around. I might just put it into the C to D tier. I feel like there's much better abilities there that don't cause us to take damage. And next we got the Tranfuse Health. So what this one ends up doing is whenever we can sacrifice half our remaining health points to heal a target for the same amount. This can be a situationally okay option if you need to heal somebody, but you're better off using your actions as something else. Even though you can have this as a bonus action, that makes it okay in pinch uses. Yeah, it just depends how likely you need to heal someone. I think this is probably another C tier. It has its opportunities to be good, but not as good as a lot of the other ones here. Now we got the Charm ability next. Now this gives us a reaction. Anytime we can weaponize a reaction, that's a good ability. So basically all this does is a reaction, making it so that when a target attacks you, you make it so they don't attack you again. They'll just go to somebody else. This actually isn't that good. We have multiple reactions here. There's ones that are very good with the Psionic Dominance, basically a free counterspell that you can put on anybody, making this not as good because if you use up your reaction, you're not going to be able to Psionic Dominance a target. You're not going to be able to use Psionic Backlash, which can deal additional 1d4 psychic damage, which can sometimes actually spike up a lot higher than that 1d4. So Charm, it's okay. It can be good on like someone that you need to protect. Like if you're playing as a wizard or someone with low armor class, being able to charm a target to prevent the damage you'll be taking is pretty nice. But I don't think that this one is actually that useful in compared to some others. So Charm, I'm gonna actually put Charm down in the D tier. It can have its uses here and there. Yeah, probably C to D tier. But next we got one of the best with Luck of the Far Realms. Now, this just gives you a free critical hit. So once per long rest, when you make an attack roll, you can turn it into a critical, which is crazy. So you can turn misses into hits because when you roll a 20, it's an automatic hit. That is massive. I don't need to explain to you guys how good critical hits are. It's a really useful one. There's a reason that the Hilder Sweetheart ring is also a very useful ring because it gives you that free critical hit once per long rest, which can, again, turn misses into hits. That one's an easy S tier. I might actually put it right around there because you can only get it once per long rest. Maybe it'll put it in the S tier. Next, we have Perilous Stakes. Now, this one actually gets changed when you're in honor mode. So you invest a creature with a power that heals it when it attacks, but it makes it vulnerable to all damage. The way you use this is you apply it on a target that has a lot of health. It becomes vulnerable to all damage, so it makes it takes double damage. And then you have your entire team wail on that target endlessly until they're downed, because you don't want them to start healing themselves when they attack. In honor mode, however, you cannot apply this to enemies, so this can only be applied, or this can only be applied to your allies, which makes it not as good because they become vulnerable to all damage types. I think that this depends, obviously, whether you're in honor mode or not, because the best way to use this is to actually apply it on an enemy, wail on them with all that extra damage that you're going to get, and try to finish them off quickly. Otherwise, it's not that great. Like if we put it on Shadowheart here, it's nice that she takes, you can see there, she got all this extra damage. Yeah, she gets one shot by everything then, because whenever you go to attack, I don't want to attack her, but you get the idea. It's best utilized outside of honor mode. If you're in honor mode, it's probably not going to be the best choice, because if you're taking double damage, you're very likely going to go down. So I would have to say, this is A tier to S tier if you're in non-honor mode. In honor mode, D tier. I'm gonna put it in the A tier with the asterisk there that this is a really effective ability outside of honor mode, but if you're in it, not as good. And next we got Shield of Thralls. Now this is one that's okay. Conjure a volatile shield around yourself or an ally, granting him 10 temporary health points. That's not amazing, but you can go ahead there, boom, blast them with that Shield of Thralls. They have the affected entity has been gained temporary health points by an Illithid if these are removed by incoming damage, the shield burst, possibly stunning nearby foes. The big thing there is that potential stun that you can get on a target. So if you go bonk and go to attack, it'll explode and do some damage. Not damage, but it can stun the target. Now, there's actually a fun way of kind of cheesing this, because it's per short rest. Now, if you're in Act 1 and you travel to Act 2, this refreshes it, so then you can apply it on your other teammate. And then, whenever you travel back to Act 1, you can apply this again. And don't worry, you can also do this in Act 3. If you go from between Rivington to the greater city, you get that refreshed again. So you can have your whole team with Shield of Thralls. That makes it a little bit better. This is a bug, so it's hard to consider that. I don't want to say that it's really good because you can bug it out and make it apply to everyone, but it's good. I would say probably I'll put it into the B tier just because of that. Applying it to your whole team is good. Stunning a target means they don't get a turn, so that's also really nice. And next we got Displace. So if you make a target receive falling damage, they take an additional 1d8 of psychic damage. This is great if you're an Eldritch blasting warlock with a pushback, or if you love using Thunderwave. But for everyone else, this is just going to be an okay ability. It's nice to get that extra damage though. It's just not going to be as monumental as some of the other options, so I think it belongs somewhere around the C tier. Next we got Psionic Backlash. Now, as I mentioned, this is a nice ability because with Psionic Backlash, you deal damage to the target whenever they cast a spell. It does 1d4 psychic damage. I've seen this hit for 30 damage multiple times. It does carry, I'm not sure what actually triggers that extra damage, but it can do a lot of damage. So that 1d4 is misleading. The big thing with this though, is that 1d4 can upset concentration. So if the target is concentrating on a spell, and you can literally end it with a reaction. Now, one of the best things you can do in Baldur's Gate 3 is weaponize your reaction. That's what makes Riposte so good. That's what makes the unarmed Greater Kashigo counter good from the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation. So here again, weaponize your reaction. It's good. I'm going to put this into the A tier because you break concentrations, and the extra damage can sometimes go crazy. Like again, I've seen 30 more damage from this, so it's good. And next is Stage Fright. So your targets have disadvantage on attack rolls, and they take 2 to 12 psychic damage each time that they miss. So it's decent. Whenever the target overcomes, if they make a successful attack roll, it removes this condition. But the disadvantage is nice. It's basically like blinding a target, and then they can take that additional 2d6 of psychic damage. That's especially good. Let's say you have a team with a light cleric and their Spectre and Radiating Orbs, which can minus up to a -10 to a target's attack rolls. You can use all the Radiating Orbs on the target and then give them the disadvantage on attack roll, and then they'll continually keep missing. So it does have a very niche use. I mean, it can be useful at times because disadvantage on attack rolls is nice, but as long as they hit their target, that removes Stage Fright entirely. So best utilized with a light cleric and a team focused on being defensive, and it could actually probably, I'd have to say that this one is, it's another one that's going to go around the B tier. If you utilize it well, it can be decent, but it's not going to be as good as some of the others, like Dominance. Now, Psionic Dominance is one of the best abilities in the game. If you know if you use counter spells, you know how good counterspell is. When an enemy within 18 meters of you cast a spell with a level lower than or equal to your proficiency bonus. So this can stop a spell up to level 4. What's good about that is if your whole team gets hit with a command, that's a level 4 spell, you can shut that down with Psionic Dominance. Being able to use that as a reaction is crazy. I don't have to go on and on about this one. It's another one that's easily an S tier option. Yeah, I'd probably put it somewhere, I'd say just above Ability Drain, below Mind Blast. Free counterspell, that's nice, and especially good on any target that does not have spell casting and can't get counterspell. You can continually have multiple people with reactions to keep your team safe. And next we got Absorb Intellect. As I mentioned, this is a way you can take out withers, because if you have a wizard, or withers, you can use your wizard with the Shocking Grasp, which will continually keep reducing their intelligence, reduce it to 1, and then attack them with Absorb Intellect, and withers will explode into a pile of bones. I've posted a video on it before, it's kind of funny. But this heals you for 5 turns, so 1d8 times 5 healing. If you're able to absorb a target's intellect, it's okay. It's just okay. It does, however, scale up in its healing, so that 1d8 becomes a 2d8 next turn, a 3d8, a 4d8, a 5d8, and it'll continually keep increasing the amount of intelligence that the target loses. It has some niche uses. I mean, being able to heal yourself with this is really good. Yeah, I'd have to say it's a little misleading with the tooltip there. If you actually use it in combat, it can be an effective way to take out an enemy. I'd have to say it's probably, yeah, niche uses, so we'll put it somewhere around Tranfuse Health, C tier. If you can utilize it, B to C tier, somewhere around there. Next, Mind Sanctuary. This is an interesting one. So it makes it so that you can use your actions and bonus actions interchangeably. So if you're a fighter, you can do your 3 attacks with your action, and then your bonus action becomes an attack, and you can use 3 more. Now, in Honor mode, this is different. It basically just gives you haste in Honor mode. It's actually nice, the range that you got on this. It can be somewhat useful, being able to basically spellcast and then spellcast again. That can be good within the Mind Sanctuary. It's useful outside of Honor mode. Even in Honor mode, getting hastened is pretty good for an ability from the Illithid. So, yeah, I'd have to say this one's probably another A tier choice. Yeah, I'll put it right around there. Psionic Backlash, it's a little better than that. Next is Fractured Psyche. This is a decent option because it reduces the target's armor class by 1. If you take out that target, then you can use it again to apply a -2 to a target's armor class. This was actually the ability, previously classes would have their own Illithid ability, and it was unique to the Paladin. So just a little fun fact there. This one is not that good, I'll be honest. Being able to use some of the other abilities is much more beneficial. Reducing armor class is nice, and then reducing, it's also armor class and saving throws. It doesn't say it there, but it can reduce a target saving throws by 2. That's good, but there's a lot of other ways that you can do that. So I actually think that this one is probably one of the weaker Illithid abilities, but we got a weak one. Now we have a strong one, Black Hole. So this will push anything, pull anyone in, and possibly slow them. You can see the range on this is ridiculous. Absolutely insane. Pulling targets in is also really useful because you can pull them in, slow them, which is an extremely useful ability, making them much more weak when it comes to combat. But then once you do Black Hole, you can follow that up with a big old fireball. Yeah, this is crazy when comboed, especially if you can bonus action Black Hole first and then upcast a fireball. Yeah, you can see where this is going. This can literally one-shot people. Yeah, Black Hole, it's very strong. This is an easy S tier, and probably, yeah, better than, I wouldn't say it's good as Cull the Weak, but it's crazy. Being able to combo this, and you can even combo it into like a Mind Blast even as well. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that this can be utilized. Kind of like a Void Bulb, but even bigger. And next is Illithid Expertise. This is a passive, basically giving you dialogue and being able to use your Illithid abilities to get good conversation rolls that are usually like a 1 or a 2 roll. So yeah, that's a good ability. It's not needed to be talked about too much. I put it in the B tier. It's useful. It also gives expertise in the 3 dialogue ones: Persuasion, Deception, and Intimidation. So that in itself is also really good. And next is Repulsor. So this will push anything and anyone back 6 meters. This is okay. You can actually get into positions where you can push people right off ledges, so that's good. 2d6 force damage, not bad either. This one is kind of middle of the pack. It's good for that pushback because sometimes you just need to clear people out, especially if you're a caster and you're getting surrounded by an enemy and you want to push them away. You can utilize Repulsor just to get them out of your hair. So with that, I think Repulsor is pretty decent. It's somewhere around the B tier just for that big pushback ability. And next is Free Cast. This is crazy. Now, Free Cast, you used to be able to cheese this by taking your underwear slot and putting this onto your hotbar. And then what you can do is you just go unequip it and equip it again, and it'll give you another version of the free cast. So yeah, this used to be pretty crazy. They did fix this in patch 8, so yeah, it doesn't work in patch 8. However, there's some other ways to do it. What's crazy about free cast is, yeah, you get a free level 6 spell. You can also use this free cast to also create sorcery points. So do we want some sorcery points? Yes, we do. Boom, 6 more sorcery points for you. And then there's another weird glitch with this, because if you were to apply Bless to a target, it will refresh it. So then you can go ahead again with your free cast. Boom, I want 6 sorcery points. Booyah. There we go. We got our sorcery points. Free cast has been exhausted. Bounce back, grab Shadowheart. Guidance. We'll put a guidance on her. And then you go back to your character, and then boom, free cast. 6 more sorcery points. Lovely. So yeah, you can then use those sorcery points to make infinite spell slots. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, even without cheesing it, free cast is easily one of the best ones, and I'm going to put it right there, right beside Cull the Weak. So very useful. And next is the Displacer Beast shape. This will turn you into Displacer Beast as a bonus action. Really nice. It gives you 85 health, turns you into Big Kitty with the big tentacles there. The extra health is extremely useful. Now this form's not that great. It has this tentacle whip attack. You also can displace yourself, teleport, and create an illusionary copy of yourself. And then you can also get your create illusionary copy to attack a target. I think the biggest benefit of this is it's like basically turning you into a druid. You get a free kitty cat form, and that's temporary health that you now have to be able to give yourself some extra survivability. Some people underrate this. I think that this is just good for the extra survivability. We'll put it somewhere around here. And then next is Fly. So Fly is really good because this just gives you the ability, especially in Act 3, to go on top of buildings. It also is great in combat because this uses just your movement speed. Compared to, let's say you take the circle or the storm sorcerer. The storm sorcerer gets a bonus action ability to fly. It requires a bonus action to use, though. This is free, so you can continually keep casting that or keep flying around with it. You get this upon becoming an Illithid. So yeah, this one is also an A tier choice, I would say. Someone's around here. Just the extra mobility is really good for getting places. So this is what our list looks like. Cull the Weak. You can call these all Cull the Weak points. That's how good Cull the Weak is. Free cast, as you saw, a free level 6, that puts in the S tier. But being able to cast guidance on yourself, get your free cast back, and if you're a sorcerer, go crazy with the extra sorcery points. Yeah, it's pretty good. And then Black Hole, obviously pulling enemies together. Mind Blast can one-shot targets and stun them. Psionic Dominance here, being able to counterspell someone up to level 4, great. Ability Drain, stacking, and applying anything that applies on a condition. And Luck of the Fire Realms, free crit, we love that. So yeah, there's a lot of really beneficial Illithid abilities here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm always enjoying reading through people's different ideas and thoughts on these different abilities because there's a lot of different ways you can utilize them. So let me know your favorite in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already. I hope you have an incredible day, and we'll see you all in the next video.